Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cameron. Another girl talk video about 4 things that I think all women should know. If you've been keeping up with my girl talk videos on my channel, then you know this is my 4th installment in my things all girl/women should know. But I think I kind of want to cut off the girl part. I'm stepping more into my womanhood, so I'm really talking to like the women out here, even though this can definitely apply to girls too, but I think I want to more so focus on the women, or like people who are about to enter womanhood. I like this series on my channel because I think as women it's important for us to be well-rounded as a whole, especially mentally and emotionally. And that's just not for you guys watching these videos, for me as well. We all want to be like the best versions of ourselves, and I think that's important for all women to strive towards. So that's really the purpose of these videos and why I continue to make them. Before we get into the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and turn on my post notifications so you know whenever I post a new video. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, so the first thing that I think all women should know is to spend time with your friends and family as much as you possibly can. Like, you know, of course in life we have our career, we have our relationships with our significant other, we have our me time. I think when you're not doing those things, I think it's definitely important to prioritize spending time with your friends and your family. And sometimes I know not everyone has like the best relationship with their family. So when I say family, it doesn't literally have to always mean your blood family. It could just be the people that you consider to be family. Think of all the people in your life who you feel really bonded and connected to, the people who you feel like you have a great relationship with. That in some forms is your family. The people that fall into that category, the people who are your true friends, the people who you feel like are like your ride or dies, people who you know you're going to be friends with for a very long time, people like that, make sure you prioritize those relationships and spend as much time as possible with them. Make sure you don't let those relationships fall off or fall to the wayside because you didn't prioritize them, or because you couldn't find the time to make that time to make memories together and to be together and be in each other's presence. Because if you don't do that, then the friendship can fall off. Because as humans, we crave connection. So if we get to a point where we don't have any connections because we didn't prioritize them, then that can lead to like extreme loneliness or depression even, and you definitely don't want that. So that's why I say make those relationships a priority and spend as much time with them as possible, even if it's just something as simple as calling them on the phone. For example, I went to this coffee place and I asked one of my friends to go with me. I mean, it was her idea, but I'm the one that drove. What should have taken like an hour ended up taking like 2 hours, but it was okay though because we enjoyed each other's company. We had a good time, and it was something small. It was just going to get coffee. We still made that time to spend together and hang out with each other, because I feel like your relationships in life, they can really make or break your life. If you have great relationships with your friends and your family, that can only lead to you having a better quality of life. But if you don't have any friends or family or anyone that you feel really close to, then that can definitely lead to you having a more, I don't know, poor quality of life, I would say. I think a lot of people in this generation, especially like younger people, they don't want to spend time with their family, and I think that's really sad. And again, family doesn't necessarily have to mean your actual family. It's extremely crucial to make time for people like that in your life and just be with them, because you never know when someone's last day is. Not to be morbid, but that's true. You never know when someone's last day is, and you never want to live a life full of regrets and feel like I wish I would have hung out with them more or talked to them more when you have that opportunity now. So really the whole point of this tip is to just figure out the people in your life who mean the most to you, who you love, who add value to your life, the relationships that you cherish the most. Make it a top priority to spend as much time as you can with them. My second thing that I think all women should know is try not to put a timeline on when you should accomplish things. And I know as women that could be super hard. Big number for us is like 30. Like for younger women, that's like our big number. Like if we don't do X, Y, and Z by the time we turn 30, like the world is gonna end. And I get that for sure. I think when we get to a place where we take that pressure off, we let things happen as they come, and we put full control into God, because God has the perfect plan for all of our lives. And his timing is always perfect. It may not be our timing, but his timing is always what needed to happen, even if we don't realize it right away. I think when we let go of that idea of, oh, this has to happen by the time I turn 22, or this has to happen by the time I turn 30, or this has to happen by the time I turn 50, it's like sometimes things don't happen like that. Sometimes things happen differently. Sometimes in the moment you might think it's unfortunate and you wish it turned out differently, but then when you look back on it, you're like, wow, I'm so glad that happened that way, because it was the best situation for me. When you take away the timeline, it takes away the pressure and the stress and the anxiety from completing something at a certain point or by a certain age in our lives as women. I know that's way easier said than done, depending on what it is. Like some women say, oh, I need to be married by the time I'm 27, or I need to be done having all my kids by the time I'm 35, or I need to be retired by the time I'm 65. Sometimes things just really don't happen that way. Because life is going to continue to throw us curveballs when we least expect it. Maybe you want to get married by 27. Maybe you don't get married until you're 31. You wanted to be done having kids by the time you're 35. Maybe you're not done having kids until you're 42. You wanted to retire by the time you're 65. Maybe you retired at 50. It was earlier than you thought. You really just never know in life. If you're so stuck on the timeline, you're just adding so much more like pressure and stress on yourself that really doesn't need to be there. This is something that I need to learn too. Take one day at a time, 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time. Try to focus more on like the present moment. Of course, you have goals, you have ambitions, you have things that you work towards that you want to do. Like I said, things happen. Sometimes plans get derailed. Sometimes your plan is completely different from God's plan. And once we accept that, we can have an easier time with letting go of the timeline that we have for any given thing. My third thing that I think all women should know is to not date a man who doesn't have a job. To some of you hearing this, you're like, duh, like, why would I ever date a man who doesn't have a job? There's a lot of y'all out there. Either you did it or you know someone who did it, who is dating a guy who doesn't have a job. I'm not talking about a teenage boy. I'm not talking about a guy in college who's, you know, in school and he doesn't have a job. I'm not talking about anybody like that. I'm talking about a grown man. Grown man who's not in school anymore. Done with that. He's, you know, doesn't have a job. Let's say 25 plus. I think it's just so important. Like, do not date a man who doesn't have a job. I think this goes really both ways. Like, I think even if you're a woman who doesn't have a job, I don't think dating is like the best thing to be doing. Not unless you with a rich guy who wants to pay for everything and you cool with that, then yeah, sure. Or vice versa. If you're a man who don't have any money and you find a woman who's rich who wants to pay for everything, then sure. Most of the time, it's not gonna happen like that. If the man or the woman doesn't have a job, they probably shouldn't be dating. But definitely for the man, because men in this society, men are providers. So if you don't have a job, obviously you're not providing anything, financially at least. And I think it's important for a man to be able to provide financially if he is dating. He doesn't have to be rich. He doesn't have to be 6-figure, whatever. Dating a man who's financially stable. He can afford to take you on a date. He can afford to pay for things. I really will go as far as to say to not date a man who is low on funds. I mean, that's a touchy subject. And when I say low on funds, I mean like they're struggling. They have a job, they have money coming in, but they're struggling to pay their bills, or they're struggling to take you out to dinner. They can't do it. They're just really having a very hard time financially. And it's different if like he was fine when you met and then maybe he got laid off or something happened during the midst of your relationship or the midst of you dating. That's different. But I mean, you met him like that. You met him and he was struggling financially. I would say to maybe steer clear of a guy like that. We as women should steer clear of men who, 1, don't have a job, or 2, are in financial turmoil. I just feel like that just creates so many problems in a relationship that don't need to be there if you dated a guy who is financially stable. And again, I don't mean rich. I don't mean making a whole bunch of money. He's doing okay financially. Like, he doesn't need any help. Especially for a man, his ego and his pride. If he's struggling financially, that's like a whole different video. But like, it's just so many issues if you date a man who doesn't have any money. It's in a man's nature to provide. So if a man feels like he can't provide, then that's a hit to his ego. It's a hit to his pride. And that can make him feel insecure. So if you're dating a man who's insecure, then that leads to even more problems. That's like a whole different video as well. But the central point of this one is try to date a man who's not struggling financially. He doesn't have to be rich. He doesn't have to be making a boatload of money, but just not struggling. Okay, so my last thing that I think all women should know is make it a priority to date ourselves more often. This one is like vital. Like, I see like the videos on Instagram and YouTube about romanticizing your life. People come up with so many different words and phrases and things, but I think the gist of it would be to just like pamper yourself a little more. Things that you would do for a partner if you were dating them, do those things for yourself. Sometimes in a woman's life, maybe we're more concerned about dating a man as opposed to dating ourselves, and not really reveling in that during our single season because we're so focused and concerned about dating a man. Sometimes we're at a point in our lives where we're not in a position to date somebody else because we need to date ourselves. We need to prioritize ourselves and focus on ourselves first before we can focus on someone else. Like, that love and attention and affection that we would give to someone else, try giving that to ourselves. And I think when you do that more and more, I think at some point the right person will come along because of that, because you're loving yourself, you're taking care of yourself, making yourself a priority, and doing all the things you need to do for yourself to become the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Doing those things can only attract the right person, I feel like. It's not even just for women who are single, it's for women who are in relationships and married too. You can definitely still date yourself, even if you do have like a literal person to date, like a boyfriend or a husband or whoever. You can still cater to yourself as well as catering catering to your partner. You should never forget to cater to yourself, pamper yourself, take care of yourself, whether you're single, in a relationship, married, whatever. Remember to do that and make that a priority in your life. And this is something that I need to remember, like date myself. Like I'm really starting to get into like my self-care journey. I need to like pamper myself more, like taking care of myself, heart, mind, body, and soul, so that when my single season is over, I can still do those things whenever I do have a partner. And I know I won't lack in that area because I've never done it before. It'll be like second nature for me to continue to do it because I was doing it in my single season. Never ever in life, as women, we should never forget to date ourselves. Maybe take yourself out to dinner. Instead of thinking about a man taking you out to dinner, take yourself out to dinner. Or go to the movies by yourself. Enjoy our own company and realize that it's okay to be by ourselves and to take care of ourselves and not relying on someone else to do that. So that's the end of my video. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know down below what you guys' thoughts are on my 4 things I think all women should know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, turn on my post notifications so you get notified whenever I post a new video. I love you guys so much if you made it to the end of this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.